A remote farmhouse, a family brutally murdered, footprints in the snow that lead nowhere. Welcome to the chilling mystery of the Hinterkaifeck murders, a case so bizarre it's haunted investigators for over a century. Who committed this gruesome crime, and why? Hit that subscribe button and stick around to uncover the shocking details. March 1922, the wind whips across the plains of Bavaria, Germany. Snow crunches underfoot as Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia and their daughter Victoria prepare for bed. Their grandson Joseph and granddaughter Cecilia are tucked in their cribs, asleep alongside their maid who's just arrived. As the family settles in, footsteps echo in the attic above them, but no one pays much heed. Life on their isolated farm at Hinterkaifeck is never dull. Over the past weeks, strange things have happened. On March, Andreas discovered footprints in the soft earth outside the house. They seemed to end abruptly at the farmyard gate, offering no explanation for how or why someone would visit in the middle of the night and then simply vanish. A few days later, the sound of footsteps in the attic woke him at around 4 a.m., but when he investigated, he found nothing. Then, on March, while reading the local newspaper, he spotted an advertisement for a maid seeking work, yet couldn't decipher the writing. It was printed on onion skin paper, unlike any he'd seen before, and the address listed was not their own, though it sounded similar. But these odd incidents were dismissed as quirks of rural life. Until the morning of April, when Andreas and Cecilia were awoken by a loud crash. Rushing to the kitchen, they found that food was strewn across the floor and the cupboard doors hung open. It was then that they noticed a pile of fresh manure in the corner. Clearly, someone had broken into the house, eaten their food, and left without paying. Yet the door showed no sign of forced entry, and nothing else was disturbed. This unsettled the family. Cecilia told her daughter Victoria, "We better move into town." In the coming weeks, more bizarre happenings took place. On March, as Victoria was having her haircut, her young son Joseph wandered into the bathroom and put on her hat. When he returned to the parlor, his sister noticed that his face was covered in what looked like shoe polish. She washed it off to reveal that he had drawn pictures of shoes on his face. Later that day, Andreas found more tracks in the snow leading to the farmyard, and this time circling around. However, they didn't match those he'd seen before, and there was no indication of anyone leaving. Meanwhile, Victoria decided to take on a new maid, Maria Baumgartner, to assist with household chores. Maria arrived on March. The following day, the family gathered in the kitchen for dinner. Little did they know it was the last meal they would ever share. According to the sparse historical record, the evening was unremarkable, save that the adults discussed Maria's lack of references. The children grew boisterous and went to bed early. Soon, silence fell over the house. Then, sometime between 9 p.m. and midnight, the sounds of screams and a struggle broke the quiet. These were never fully explained and were likely never heard outside the home. At around 4 a.m., the moon shrouded in clouds, a faint glow emanated from the skylight window of the farmhouse, followed by a bright flash. Neighbors later told investigators they saw a faint glow above the Grubbs' house that night, leading them to believe the family had set their home ablaze. In the cold light of dawn, neighbors began arriving at the Gruber farm, alerted by the absence of smoke from the chimney. It was unusual for a family to rise so late on a Sunday morning. Concerned, they began pounding on the door and windows, calling out for Andreas. Receiving no reply, they eventually managed to open the back door and stepped inside. The sight that greeted them sent a chill down their spines. In the kitchen, a chair lay overturned and remnants of dinner were scattered on the floor. But the room was otherwise neat, as if the family had simply stepped out for a moment. Concerned for their welfare, the neighbors split up to search the rest of the house, calling out for the family. When they found no one, they went to check on the livestock, only to discover that the cows had been left unmilked overnight, something that never happened. In fact, they were found standing neatly in their stalls, as if patiently awaiting milking. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the full horror of the situation dawned on the neighbors. They searched the farmhouse again, discovering the bodies of the entire Gruber family in the hayloft of the barn. Andreas was lying face down, his hands bound behind his back with a length of rope. Beside him were the bodies of his wife and daughter, also gagged and bound. In the corner, huddled together, were the bodies of little Joseph and his sister Cecilia, both with head wounds. Maria's body was found near the children, but she appeared to have been attacked separately, as her hands were raised as if in surrender. All had been bludgeoned to death with a heavy object. Later, investigators would conclude that the murder weapon was a mattock, a tool used for digging, similar to a pickaxe. Astonishingly, despite the brutality of the crimes, there had been no signs of a struggle. The motive remained a mystery, as did the identity of the killer. Had the family resisted, the attacker might have fled, leaving clues behind. But everything pointed to a premeditated and terrifyingly efficient killer. News of the Hinterkaifeck murders spread like wildfire, terrifying the region. People spoke in hushed tones of a madman loose in the countryside, but authorities struggled to find answers. Over the years, various theories emerged, pointing to different suspects. One was Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor whose daughter Victoria resembled. Rumors swirled that Andreas had had a relationship with Victoria, a claim that could explain why Schlittenbauer wanted revenge. Another theory suggested that a wandering killer had tracked the family for days, observing their routines and hiding in the attic until the coast was clear. Some believed a serial killer was responsible, citing similarities between the Gruber family murders and other unsolved cases. However, no concrete evidence linked any of these theories or individuals to the crime. In fact, the investigation was hindered by a lack of forensic science. By the time authorities arrived at the farmhouse, the crime scene had already been contaminated by curious neighbors and townspeople. Critical evidence like footprints had been trampled, and valuable clues were lost. While a thorough analysis of the murder weapon turned up partial fingerprints, the technology to extract usable prints did not exist in 1922. This was a common problem at the time, frustrating investigators who often lacked the tools to solve crimes. But perhaps the strangest detail surrounding the Gruber family murders is the legacy of mystery that persists to this day. Throughout history, numerous high-profile crimes have been solved decades after the fact through advances in DNA technology. Not so at Hinterkaifeck. The case remains officially unsolved, a frustrating conclusion for a crime that shocked the world. In the aftermath of the killings, the farmhouse was torn down. Some say out of fear that the house itself was cursed, while others claim it was simply to remove the eyesore that had become a morbid tourist attraction. Either way, nothing was left to mark the spot where the murders occurred. Yet the story of the Hinterkaifeck murders did not end with the demolition of the farmhouse. Over the years, the gruesome tale has captured the imaginations of writers, filmmakers, and true crime enthusiasts alike. Several books and documentaries have been produced exploring the various theories surrounding the case. And in 2009, the German psychological horror film Grizzly Man depicted a fictionalized version of the murders. Some believe the killer may have been a sinister figure known as the Strider Slasher, a mysterious individual who roamed the countryside killing families and leaving behind cryptic clues. Others point to circumstantial evidence, such as the discovery of a bloody mattock in a nearby river, although it was never conclusively linked to the crime. With no physical evidence remaining and key witnesses long gone, the truth may forever elude us. One thing is certain, the haunting legacy of the Hinterkaifeck murders continues to fascinate over a century later. So what do you think happened at Hinterkaifeck? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.